Diana, whom Michael Jackson revered, had entrusted him with her biography. And Mr. Bashir gave a series of interviews where he continually praised Michael Jackson for his parenting skills and for many other things that he had done.
Do you come out here on your own?
Yeah.
How often?
All the time.
Jackson gives Bashir something he has never given any journalist: unprecedented access to his private life, allowing Bashir and his film crew to follow him for 8 months.
We began a journey together, across continents, through his past, and rapidly into the disturbing reality of his life today.
Michael Jackson believes Martin Bashir's documentary will finally reveal to the world an artist whose goal in life is to do good, not evil, to bring children joy, not harm, and to reveal a side of himself never before seen. Jackson confidently looks forward to the premiere of Living with Michael in 2003. It airs on television to record viewership in the UK and the US. But the film was not what Jackson expects or was promised.
His face, his denials about plastic surgery, his relationship with Blankett's mother, and of course the Neverland sleepovers. Confronting him wouldn't be easy, but now it had to happen.
Michael Jackson decided to do an interview with Martin Bashir. What do you think about that decision?
It was one of the worst decisions he ever made.
Martin Bashir is an interesting example of a man who made his name off of the back of Michael Jackson, lured him in under the pretense that he was going to help Michael Jackson's career by erasing any possibility of allegations of the past, by bringing forward Michael's ability and want and desire to help children and create this international children's holiday that Michael wanted so badly. He promised Michael that that's what this would be about, this international children's holiday, and that he'd make Michael Jackson look like another Princess Diana. That's what he promised.
Martin showed Michael a letter from Princess Diana.
Thanking him?
Thanking him for the show that he did with her, the interview that said, you know, Martin's a great guy, he'll take care of you, it was a great interview, whatever. And then Michael just figured, oh, he's okay then. If it was, you know, if Di liked him, he was fine. He didn't care. He wasn't trying to be Michael's friend.
What Bashir delivers instead are humiliating moments. The most controversial, one that Bashir possibly set up. The image of Gavin Arvizo, a cancer patient Jackson had once befriended, resting his head on Michael's shoulder, makes the front pages of tabloids worldwide. As does a comment from Jackson edited to imply the two slept in a bed together. The documentary, meant to free Michael Jackson from the 1993 molestation controversy, instead turns into a blazing new inferno. Jackson feels betrayed by Bashir.
Well, Mr. Jackson didn't say, we sleep in the bed together. What Mr. Jackson said was Gavin Arvizo slept on his bed and he slept on the floor. And Mr. Jackson also said that nothing sexual ever goes on between he and children. And he did sort of lash out at the media a little bit about the way they try to blow things up into something they're not. He did talk about his settlement in the early 90s with another accuser, and he said he did it because he didn't want to put his family through an O.J. Simpson type trial. And, you know, Michael was used, manipulated, and undermined by Mr. Bashir, in my opinion.
Michael Jackson is about to find out that the Martin Bashir documentary will have much more sinister implications in his life. An old adversary, Santa Barbara District Attorney Tom Sneddon, who wanted to file criminal charges against Jackson for child molestation in 1993, now resurfaces. Once Sneddon sees the Bashir documentary, he decides to use it against Jackson. He brings criminal charges against the pop star who he had been after for more than a decade. The film that Jackson believed would vindicate him against rumors of child molestation now have turned into fodder for the tabloids and the district attorney's office in Santa Barbara County. A search warrant is issued for Jackson's Neverland Ranch. Sheriff's deputies descend upon the property Michael Jackson considered his sanctuary. Criminal charges against the King of Pop are now filed.
The prosecution were alleging that Michael did not molest this boy before or during the documentary made by Bashir, but afterward, in the aftermath.
Well, that is correct, and they began to claim that the young man had been molested right after the Bashir documentary, and then, to their horror, we came up with a videotape where the young man and his brothers and mother all praised Michael for being the nicest person they'd ever met. And at that point, the prosecution changed its theory and tried to say the molestation began after that videotape was put together. So it was kind of a two-step process, all of which was completely absurd.
Mickey Sherman is a criminal defense attorney and an expert on celebrity trials.
Once Tom Sneddon and the prosecutors got involved, then it's no longer a civil case. You can't just write out a check. It just doesn't work that way. So once the ball was rolling, once that fire was lit, then it was a fait accompli. There was going to be a trial, a criminal trial, and no amount of money was going to be available or possibly made available to buy these people off.
Those close to Michael believe the decision to settle the 1993 case only triggered another. But the documentary makes this case very different. The film, made possible by Jackson's trust in a filmmaker, turns into a vehicle for his own prosecution. This would not even have been possible, but the prosecutor himself changed a significant law that helped him build his case.
Is it true that Tom Sneddon actually passed a law in the state of California, especially designed for Michael Jackson?
Yes. After the 1993 incident, where a young man came forward to make allegations and then refused to cooperate with Mr. Sneddon's office, and Mr. Jackson was never criminally charged, Mr. Sneddon was very instrumental in having a law passed through the California State Legislature that would make it easier to bring in evidence of prior similar acts, as they're called in the law, in a case like this. And it's one of the most pro-prosecution statutes in the country in cases of alleged child molestation.
The prosecution in the Michael Jackson case, did they have a case? What is your opinion?
I think they got too emotionally invested in the case. I think Tom Sneddon seemed gleeful. He took a little too much pleasure in dishing out misery to Michael Jackson. That, to me, was the biggest tell of all.